could buy stock in liver, I would buy stock in liver. Who's a carnivore? Oh, look around you guys.
She's been in nutritional ketosis for 8 years.
That's amazing.
About 2 years ago, we shifted to carnivore. She's rocking.
What?
Yeah, she's a
Are you
rock
recording
star.
this? That's amazing.
She's freaking phenomenal.
Animal foods are incredibly nutrient rich. They're incredibly bioavailable. Animal foods are the ultimate multivitamin. Whether or not you eat all animal foods, if you're getting animal foods in your diet, you are getting more bioavailable nutrients. And we know that micronutrients are what create quality of life and longevity. The idea that phytic acid, present mainly in staple foods, a strong negative effect on zinc absorption from composite minerals, also affects calcium, magnesium, manganese, any divalent cation. So if you go on a chronometer and it says that your broccoli has a lot of calcium, you're not absorbing it. You're not absorbing the zinc. You're not absorbing any of these minerals because of phytic acid. So this gets back to the idea of bioavailability, but I just want to remind you that it is not the same. When Vega Protein says you have 35 grams of protein, no way. That protein is not bioavailable in the same way. The other thing is the B vitamins. And the B vitamins are not as bioavailable in plants either because they're bound to glycoproteins. They're only like 30% is bioavailable. People say, oh, you get your folate from leafy greens. Well, you'll also get a big dose of oxalates, and you're only going to absorb about 30% of the folate in there relative to folate in animal food because of this binding to glycoproteins. And this goes back to a concept that I've talked about before, that animals and plants are really different operating systems. We got Mac, we got PC, and you guys can decide which is which based on your preferences. But I'm going to say humans are Macs, because I like them. Fat I'm not a huge fan of in general because then you're missing all the collagen. Like eating suet, eating animal fat, it's real fat, you're going to get collagen, tissue, and fat soluble nutrients in there. So it's kind of nuanced. We're never used to eating animal fat.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
But the second question was, so my mom's a colon cancer survivor, eating ostomy bag for about 10 years now, so I'm thinking more like this would be a good way for her to move towards, except for there's certain animal proteins she doesn't digest well, but I also argue it's because she still has grains as much as it pisses me off. So it's grains in the diet, and so I'm moving her more keto-ish, and now I'm thinking let's start taking the plants out.
How concerned are you about toxins in the organs and adipose tissue when it comes to commercial meats?
I'm very concerned about the toxins. In the commercial meats, you know, like that's why I think grass-fed is the way to go, right? I've talked about this on my podcast with Anthony J. Atrazine, the
phytoestrogens.
Yeah, the phytoestrogens. Like atrazine is just a xenoestrogen, and then they put these mycotoxins. I had a conversation with Dave Asprey. That podcast will be out soon. I went on Bulletproof, but I think that that's really important. I'm very concerned about that. I really work hard to avoid grain-fed animal fats.
I will eat them, but I won't eat the fatty part. Because first of all, once you see them, it doesn't have that carotenoid, the yellowish thing that the grass-fed does.
Right, and that indicates they've been eating grass.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
But the calf liver, liver is harder to source, so I will eat calf liver. I would assume it's better than beef liver in terms of toxins as a younger animal.
Younger animal, yeah.
So.
Yeah. But
grass-fed liver.
There's lots of...
Where do you get the grass-fed? Well,
you get it at the health food store.
Health food store,
Yeah,
U.S.
grass-fed
Wellness,
liver.
White Oak Pastures.
Sprouses.
Yeah.
Calf liver, I don't know. If grass-fed
Probably not.
Probably not.
You know, in my book I'll talk about some resources, but if you look on the communities, you can find lots of stuff. There's U.S. Wellness, there's White Oak Pastures, there's more and more places to source grass-fed organs.
So I was listening to a podcast, a Ben Greenfield podcast, I think it was, and they were talking about your SNPs and ApoE4 and not being suitable for kind of carnivore keto, particularly for women. Did you come across?
I'm not convinced. I have to do like the main big deep dive. ApoE4 has to do with the way we traffic and handle cholesterol and fats in the brain and throughout the body. If you look in some populations, ApoE4 is protective. In Africa. So I think the ApoE4 story is a little bit premature for people to say like it's not a good thing. And so when you get from a different operating system, you get real problems. It doesn't really work well. And that's what we see with the bioavailability. I just want to illustrate this with something called the Rotterdam study. We're talking about K1 versus K2. K1 is phytoquinone, K2 is metaquinone. Now, what do we see in this study? This is epidemiology. The relative risk of heart disease mortality was reduced based on the intake of metaquinone. So the more vitamin K2 they had, the less coronary artery disease they had. The last sentence is probably the most important to me. Phytoquinone intake was not related to any of the outcomes. Vitamin K1 is in plants, doesn't occur in animals. Phytoquinone intake, not related to any of the outcomes. Vitamin K2, the more you eat, at least in this epidemiology study, which is pretty profound, the less coronary artery disease you have. Well, the take home with this is, I strongly believe that the LDL hypothesis, the lipid hypothesis, is wrong, that LDL is not directly toxic to the endothelium, that having a high LDL on a carnivorous ketogenic diet is nothing to worry about, and that there are other things driving the beginning of plaque formation. So if you guys want to hear about that, listen to the podcast I'm released next week with Nadir. But there's so much evidence to suggest that this hypothesis is greatly overblown. And then we talk about statins in that podcast too. Now,
Question for liver. Do you have preference for lamb or beef?
They're both good.
Both good?
But I do like lamb or beef rather than chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken's smaller, it's not as rich, you know?
Yeah.
If I could get elephant or woolly mammoth, I'd probably eat that. Yeah.
Awesome.
About like bison.
Bison's great.
Bison.
Yeah. I don't understand why people think red meat causes any type of cancer. Like, what's the evidence?
So she doesn't eat red meat.
I mean, and I would argue that the reason that study shows that is because of differences in healthy user bias, right? My impression, you can speak to this more than I can, is that in Asia, meat has been associated with affluence. Overcooking? Yeah, bad idea. Yeah, don't make polycyclic aromatic hydrogen. Don't make heterocyclic amines.
A little bit of cooking.
It's better. Yeah.
I've got an 84-year-old with Alzheimer's. We've been keto for, she's been in nutritional ketosis for 8 years.
That's amazing.
About 2 years ago, we shifted to carnivore. She's rocking.
What?
Yeah, she's a
Are you
rock
recording
star.
this? That's amazing.
She's freaking phenomenal. So we took what you talk about and we ran with it. Yeah, my mom is a freaking rock star. Within keto, we shaved off 150 pounds, got her metabolically more stable, and she's awesome.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah. 1, 2, 3. Awesome thing there.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, quick pick.
Yeah, of course. No forward lane, but he's taller than me. Man,
Great job.
I'm Paul.
Steph.
Hi there. Nice to
to
meet you.
meet you. I'm from the Dominican Republic.
Hi. All right.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you very
have a
much.
great day.
Okay.
Good to
very
meet you, man.
You too.